Every Wednesday, same time, same place, right here on the 8 Plus app. It's your opportunity to bring us your questions, weather related, of course, only. Don't make it weird,
No,
as we
no,
say.
nothing weird.
And if there is something weird, well, we just move on past
We
that
skip.
question. Yeah.
Doesn't even get read.
Doesn't even get read. Nope, we just keep scrolling. So, how does this work? Well, if you have a weather related question, you can text it to our number. We've got it at the bottom of your screen there. Easy to remember, especially the last 3 digits. It took me about, 6 months to get it memorized, but I finally did it. 309-304-0888. 309-304-0888.
309-304-0888.
Message and data rates may apply. Check with your wireless provider for details. In case you are maybe one of those few people that don't have an unlimited text message plan yet. Does that even exist anymore?
I think they might probably.
Maybe it does. I don't know. Good question. Everything I've seen is unlimited, but maybe there's still a couple stragglers out there.
Never know.
So just got to put that legalese in there just in case. But yeah, that's your best way to get us your question, and we'll answer those coming up in just a few moments. As we always do, we like to talk about a little bit what's going on with the weather right now.
Oh, yeah?
We'll recap the Ask Andrew question, and if Billy from Clinton, if you are watching this morning, if you didn't catch it on Monday, I finally answered your question about correlation coefficient. We did it. We did it. I apologize that it took so long, but things have been busy around here, and we finally got to it. So we're going to dive into that too, because I think it's really important.
It's such a cool one too.
Yeah. And it's something you're going to see a whole lot more of when we do severe weather coverage, now that we're comfortable in using that product, and a lot more of you are beginning to understand how it works. So we'll dive into that too. We're also going to talk about what a microburst is. That was today's question that came from Becky in Galesburg. So
that's a good one too.
Cool. That's something you see a lot of in your neck of the woods in the Southwest.
Yes, there's little pop-ups. Just gonna fire and then go bye-bye.
Yeah, and they bring some strong winds too.
They do bring some really strong winds. A lot of dust storms associated with those.
Yeah, they can get crazy. So we'll talk all about that. And also the trend for severe weather. I promised we were going to talk about that too. When are we going to see that pick up again in the weeks ahead? Because it's kind of been quiet around here again lately. So we'll cover all that coming up in just a second. How about a current weather synopsis of what's happening today and the next couple of weeks? Today, the story has been about the heat that's coming in. We're going to be seeing the 90s make a return. We're already warm this morning.
I know.
Lots of 60s and some 70s already on the board. And we're going to head up to the low 90s this afternoon. The thing we're not going to see a ton of today, though, is the humidity. That's going to remain at bay for today, but tomorrow, that's a different story. So there you see your temperatures, everybody mostly in the mid-70s. I'll put future track into motion so you can see if there's any rain potential with any of this. As we get up to 91 today, there is none today. But late tonight, as we've been kind of talking with, especially with the Storm Prediction Center, thinking areas well north of the Quad Cities. Highway 20 up to Galena, Dubuque, way north, a stray clip there from a shower thunderstorm late tonight. The rest of us are likely going to be dry as a weak front is settling through the region. Now tomorrow, I think we start off dry everywhere, but the afternoon, as that boundary sinks a little further to the south, the heat of the day could bubble up a stray shower thunderstorm opportunity for really the entire region. The coverage doesn't look too great. That's probably what you saw this morning too, Peter, I'd imagine.
Yep.
For your neck of the woods there in Des Moines that you're helping to cover. It's just kind of a typical summertime pattern moving in.
Yeah, just enough humidity to fire up some storms, a little bit of storm energy with all the warmth, but they're all very isolated, very spotty, very popcorny.
Yes, I love that word, that term popcorny. Because yeah, it's just very scattered and those clouds look like popcorn once they get into the heating of the afternoon. This is something that I agree with, the Storm Prediction Center shoving that 1 out of 5 risk much further to the north. I think that's more realistic based on what we've seen so far. More realistic than the previous outlook from this morning and even yesterday. That was a little too far south.
As I say, it's been riding this I-80 corridor for like the whole week.
It really has, yeah. It's been centered just north of Des Moines. And like I said, along the I-80 corridor and points to the north, northern Iowa, southern Minnesota. Good rush of wind with some of those storms, but just didn't think it's going to make it this far south in terms of getting it into the Quad Cities. So it's nice to see that the Storm Prediction Center, that is finally agreeing to that. That's something we've seen for the last several days. If you're curious about the humidity, when we're going to see that crank up, today isn't too bad. The dew point of 60. If you're not familiar with what the dew point is, it's our measure of moisture. I know we often say how humid it is. And yes, humidity plays a part in this, but it's more accurate and more meaningful to measure the dew point temperature because you can have 100% relative humidity in the morning, but do we step outside and go, oh my gosh, is it humid?
No.
No, because the temperatures are cooler in the morning.
Exactly.
So it's easier to use the dew point. Anytime we get 65 and higher, you're going to feel it. Tomorrow, 65, and with upper 80s, it'll feel like the 90s. So sticky tomorrow. It gets a little more humid Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the temperatures are going to be a little cooler. So at least we're heading in the opposite direction with the temperatures.
That's true.
Even though the humidity is going to be cranking itself back up. Let's get you into the rest of the forecast. Yeah, there's going to be some storms at times. You know, tomorrow and Friday are kind of the same deal. It's the pop-up stuff in the afternoon, 20-30% coverage. That's it. It dies out in the evening. Early storm possible on Saturday. Even that looks pretty slim. Father's Day will be dry, and then we'll get back into the warmth and a little bit more humidity into next week as that south wind cranks up again. But I see a lot of good pool weather around here if you can dodge some of those thunderstorms.
I was going to say also just the weekend in general looks perfect. I know there's that early storm on Saturday, but you're not going to the pool on Saturday morning. You're going on Saturday afternoon.
Exactly.
It's pretty picture perfect weather.
It's looking good to me.
It's summer.
It is summer.
And we've hit 90 before here, but
a
large portion of Iowa hasn't seen 90 yet too, which is weird.
That's right. And it is especially weird because you're west of us, and you know, typically you get the heat before we do.
Exactly. So that's a little bit interesting, and also just here in the Quad Cities, you normally see about 4 or 5 of them through this point. We're at 2, 3.
I believe we're at 3.
We're at 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're a little bit below average there.
A little bit behind. No problem, though. You can catch up pretty quickly.
Yes.
And we'll probably do that in the weeks ahead, too. And we'll talk about that pattern coming up here, too. Let's dive right into that because before we get to our question of the day, just kind of keeping on the theme of the weather right now, what we've seen, you know, in terms of severe weather so far this year, all the storm reports since January 1st, you can clearly see where the bulk of the severe weather has been occurring this year so far. Yes, we've had, you know, 2 run-ins with a couple of tornado days here in the Quad Cities, and you can see those plotted there. But look at the bulk of the activity centered right here. The same area that it's been nearly all winter and the majority of the spring in the southeast here.
Just won't move. That stream just is stuck.
It's just stuck there. And what this shows us is it shows you where the jet stream is and where the jet stream has been, seeing that continuous dip down into this region before it goes back up to the northeast. That's been your active storm track. What we've been waiting for is for that to lift a little bit further to the north, and it typically will do that as we get deeper into summer because you're going to get all this warm air.
That forces it.
Forcing it northward, exactly, as the cooler air retreats. So I'm going to peel that off. And you notice the tornado report, too, by the way. We're now at 1,100.
Ooh.
So it's quite high in terms of the numbers. We're not at 2011 levels yet. We've come close at times. But now that the year has gone on and progressed, we're moving a little bit further away from that 2011 count.
Yes.
Because that kept going up, and now we're starting to see a little break. But if you're curious, you know, when are things going to turn around? When are we going to start to see more of that activity pick up? This often gets posted on social media quite often without explanation, and all you see is a whole bunch of red, and people freak out and think, oh my gosh, this is going to be Armageddon. This is a big tornado outbreak coming our way and all this red stuff. No, I want to explain what this is. So what we're looking at is this is the what we call the accumulated supercell composite parameter. That's just a fancy name for where is there going to be some really good ingredients, or where are there going to be some really good ingredients to get severe weather potentially cooking. Now, of course, you need a lot of different things to come into play for this to become realized. But it does appear, if you look at the bottom of your screen, this is from the end of June into the early July. You can see there's quite a bit of activity predicted to occur in the high plains and in the Midwest, a little bit closer to home. So this does not mean, you know, that we're going to have a big tornado outbreak or a big severe weather outbreak or a derecho. We've dealt with that post on the derecho I don't know how many times. And you've probably seen it too. I've had people message me, I know that you have seen it, claiming there's likely going to be a derecho at the end of June through early July. I want to remind folks that we cannot, no matter how good weather forecasting gets, you cannot predict a derecho ahead of time.
It's classified after.
That's right.
It has to meet certain criteria, which you cannot forecast.
Yep,
Like,
it's difficult.
Like it's practically impossible.
It is.
I believe it's, 350 miles straight line winds, 50 plus
Yep.
Plus, there are a couple other parameters too.
Yep, it's got to be, there's a length parameter. You have to have so many wind damage reports consistently within the track of that storm for it to be labeled a derecho.
Yeah.
And I know it freaks people out because of what happened here not long ago when we had that August derecho move through. But it's also a good opportunity to remind folks that not every derecho is the same. Not every derecho that we see here in the Quad Cities, and we average one a year, by the way, is going to be a repeat of what we saw that August.
No.
They all have different strengths. They all have different characteristics. They're just like hurricanes. They're not going to be the same.
No.
You're not going to have another Hurricane Andrew and have the same impacts, most likely. You could have a storm as strong as that, but the impacts will be different.
Yes.
So just want to get that out there because I know that post has been blowing up. There's been a little pushback on it, and I just want to let you know my thoughts and your thoughts on that because it frustrates us as meteorologists.
Yes.
It gets everybody all excited, all worked up, and we know it's a lot of clickbait because that's exactly what it is. We're trying to get views and clicks that that particular person is for monetary value or following. So we want to encourage you again to avoid sharing things like that. Derechos, we just cannot forecast them that far in advance.
No. And especially that far in advance, really can't accurately forecast a lot. Maybe temperature range within, what, 10 degrees?
Yeah.
That's the best you can do?
It's crazy. And actually, there's one of these days I'm going to do kind of a more in-depth presentation on that day because believe it or not, when we started that morning, the Storm Prediction Center didn't even hardly have us in a marginal risk for severe weather.
It was a slight or a marginal, right, that morning?
Yep. And then at the last minute, it ramped up to a level 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
The very last minute. So that tells you, not even the experts, the storm experts in this country at the Storm Prediction Center had a handle on what was going on that morning. That is how dynamic those storm systems are.
And they move so quick and they develop so quick.
They really do. So keep that in mind. Again, even if you see maps like this, yes, signals are pointing to a more active end of June, early July, but we have a lot of ingredients that have to come together. This is just one of the ingredients that's out there that potentially could lead us to a little bit of a busier end to the month. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
We'll be watching.
We will, yep. And if it gets a little closer and it gets a little spicy, of course, we'll be the first to let you know.
That's our job.
What's coming up. That's
We
right.
track storms.
That's right.
We track storms.
It's in our tagline for
It
crying
is.
out loud. I think it's even on the Beast.
It's on the beast. It's in our tagline. It's in all we do.
It is all over the place.
It is.
We'll get to the couple of Ask Andrew questions we had this week, and then we'll take your questions. So the one we had this morning was from Becky in Galesburg. And I'm going to pull up her question because it was longer than this, but I have to make it fit on the screen for TV because this one actually came with a little bit of a story, which I thought was interesting. So I'm going to pull it up here on my computer once my spreadsheet acts out here. We have so many questions. I think I'm up to how many questions have been asked so far?
Oh my goodness.
295? So yeah. So Becky said, my daughter lives in Batavia, and on Sunday, June 8th, they had severe winds and hail, and they're calling it a microburst. We have never heard of this, wondering if you could explain this term. Thank you.
Ooh.
So that's what we did this morning, is we explained what a microburst is. So a microburst, like any other severe storm, you need certain ingredients, but this one is a little bit different because a microburst, you have to have this involvement of dry air in the mid-level part of the storm. That's a little bit different than our average severe weather setup because usually it's moist air throughout much of that column. But in this setup, you've got this layer of dry air, and dry air leads to evaporation of some of that water in the cloud. And we've talked about this on Storm Trek 8 University way back when, that evaporation cools you off.
It does.
Cools things off. The best example I can give you, you're taking a shower. As soon as you get out of the shower and the water starts evaporating out of your skin, you get a little cold. You're like, ooh, you can't put that towel on fast enough.
No.
Because it's getting chilly. So that's what happens with this. The cool air actually becomes more dense. We talked about that too. Cool air is more dense than warm, humid air. So with that density increasing and gravity pulling down on that, all of that cool air, along with whatever moisture left of rain, just rapidly sinks to the ground, and actually it's quite violent. It hits the ground, goes outward, you get all these trees, power lines knocked down, it's removed roofs. There have been cases where microburst winds have exceeded 120 miles an hour.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it gets crazy. The thing is though, it's not widespread. It's in a small concentrated area of usually just a couple of miles or so. So it's a really interesting phenomenon, and the good thing is, you know, the fact that we know that some dry air is in play,
Yes.
we can forecast these things.
Yes.
We know when it's going to be a good day where we could have this microburst potential.
Yeah, it's kind of, we're not seeing that this week with those pop-up showers, but it's kind of those type of days where we see those little mini pop-ups on, we're like, okay, we could be keeping an eye on a cell here. Those are the type of days where we can keep an eye on a lot, especially in like the early springish time frame. A lot, I feel like we see these a ton.
Yes, you are so correct. It's early spring, sometimes in the late fall too, if we can manage to get some of that stronger dynamics in here. Yeah, you're not going to see this too much during the summer unless it's kind of a stagnant weather pattern. It's got to be really, really slow moving type of activity, like air mass thunderstorms,
Yes.
what we kind of look at those for. Good point. Very good point. So that was Becky's question. And now we'll move really quickly to Billy's question. He was asking about correlation coefficient. What is it, and how does it help us detect where tornadoes could potentially be at any given time? So these are the radar products that you're most commonly going to see us use on the air. This is reflectivity. It shows rain, it shows snow. We're used to that. Everybody knows what this is. We know where the heavy rain is, we know where the light rain is. A lot of you have probably seen us use this too, that velocity, which shows the wind direction to and from the radar.
Yep.
And we look for those two opposites, those little couplets.
Little couplets. We love couplets. Well, we don't love couplets, but it's a good way to tell, I guess.
It makes it easy for us to see what the
Yes.
tornadoes are.
Yes.
And there is definitely something cooking with this particular one. But here's the new one that Billy was asking about, is correlation coefficient. You look at this radar picture and it's like, whoa, where did all these crazy colors come from? We've got this blue, we've got this green, this yellow, this really deep red. So the correlation coefficient, what it does is it actually looks into the different sizes and shapes of water droplets and other things that are going on inside the storm, or inside the storm there. And how we do this is, because the radar is able to see in two different dimensions what's inside the storm, it can distinguish between all of these different things. So when you get a confirmed tornado on the ground, or a radar indicated tornado, and we see that little hole in the data there where it gets to that bluish color, that means that the radar is not detecting rain, it is not detecting hail, it's detecting something else that is none of those. And what else could that be?
It's a tornado.
It's damage, yeah, tornado damage.
That's
Yep.
true. I guess that's a better word to put
Yeah,
it.
no, you're right. It is a tornado too. Yeah, you're actually tracking the tornadic debris, including buildings. This could also be insects or dust. We've also seen birds being detected by correlation
That's true.
coefficient. So what we're looking for are those low values of correlation coefficient, which on that radar map would be the blue. And I'll put that back full screen so you can see it again. You notice how it just kind of drops out there. And what you do too is, of course, you want to match this area up with your velocity data that I showed above that. But yeah, those two locations match up perfectly. So right in here, the radar is saying, hey, this isn't rain, this isn't hail, this isn't snow.
No.
This is something foreign being lifted up into whatever's going on right here, while the rest of this is your rain, your hail, etc.
I think I know. When was that from, by the way?
You know,
From like 2019, 2020?
it could be.
Because that looks like a tornado that went right by my college when I was there.
Do any of those look familiar? Any of those town names?
SMU is in University Park, and Farmers Branch is just about 10 miles to our north and to our west.
It could be. I wish I would have saved the website. It was Noah's website that I got this from.
Really?
I didn't save the case study on where I found it, but
That looks just, I think it was 2019 fall or 2020 spring.
now I'm really curious to see if I remember where I got that from. Actually, you know what? I think it was right here.
Wait, is it up? I think I saw it at the top.
Did you see it? Oh, that's a different one.
Oh, that's a different one.
There's a site though that was somewhere on here that I got. I'll see if I can look it up for you, and maybe we can figure it out. Interesting, none the least
So
though.
I know it did some damage to houses right by the campus. So I was like,
Dang.
oh. I remember they shoved us all from the dorms into the first floor bathrooms.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That was pretty close.
That is a close call.
Yeah.
Woo! I wouldn't want to be that close. So that's what we had going on with correlation coefficient. Billy, I hope that explanation helps. It's really hard to do a deep dive into that during severe weather coverage. We don't really have the time to say, you know, this is what this means and that's what this means. So hopefully that'll help you and a lot of other folks that watch our coverage understand what that gobbledygook is on the screen.
Yes. Yes, and it's great for even things aside from tornadoes too. When you're seeing hail versus sleet, ice, or I guess ice storms, you can help distinguish it very easily there too. And the switch over from rain to snow, I know that helps out a lot there as well.
Huge, huge help. Yeah, we use that a lot during the winter season and the spring
Yes.
too.
So
really, really good example of that too. That'll be another Ask Andrew question. Maybe I'll have to pull up next winter is how correlated,
Ooh.
how that can all help determine the difference between that too.
that'd be a good one.
Just gave me another idea.
The
I
more
love
we
it.
get.
I love it. The
Oh
more,
my
the better.
goodness. Yes.
We'll go ahead and we'll take some of your questions here. We got about 10 minutes left on the clock, and whatever you want to ask weather-wise, we will go ahead and we'll answer that here. Hopefully everybody's having a good Wednesday so far.
It's going to be a great Wednesday.
It's going to be a great Wednesday.
It's going to be a great Wednesday.
Yes.
So I will say my phone was not pulling up the live stream for 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
I know.
I'll
So-
see if I can pull it up on maybe the,
Live chat, all I have was a comment from Ruth, which is thank you. So thank you for that. But if you sent one in the first 10 minutes of the show, give or take, because my phone didn't refresh, because technology is our best friend, right? Please resend those in, if you did.
Facebook's a little quirky
It is quirky.
when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It can do its own little thing here. I'm checking our text message line too. Folks were talking about the moon last night, the strawberry
Yes.
moon. If you missed it, don't worry, because we're going to be able to see it again for the next few days.
So I have a question. Is it called the strawberry moon because of the orangish color we saw?
It is not. So the strawberry moon name comes from the Native American tribes. I guess they called it that because at this time of year, probably especially in the South, the strawberries were ripening and ready for
Oh.
harvest. So they call it the strawberry moon, which is
Interesting.
pretty cool. Yeah, I always love those little backgrounds,
So
background
pretty.
information.
So
Yeah.
as I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But it was from, what, the smoke, I'd assume, that we saw yesterday, that
Yep.
kind of reddish color.
Yeah, gives it a little bit of a. At times it was orange, but then when it gets on the horizon, it almost turns red.
Yeah, it was like reddish. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that looks kind of tasty.
That's kind of looks kind of tasty. It almost I think it's more of a blood moon appearance when it gets
That's
with
true.
that horizon. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, if you missed it, no worries. We're going to be able to see this for the next few nights. Clouds, of course, bearing. It just happened to be so that late last night and this morning was the biggest intensity in terms of how much illumination the moon was going to have. So no worries. Again, you can still see that. We would love to see some of your pictures too. I know we've gotten a few in, but make sure and check that out. It is the last full moon of spring.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, summer's just a couple weeks away.
Technically, it's already meteorological summer.
Thank goodness.
I know. Solstice, what, 10 days away? Yeah, 10 days away now from the solstice. That's the start of summer.
Just about, yeah.
Wait, isn't it 21st, or am I drawing a blank here? It's 21st.
Rough.
Give
Yeah,
or
it's the
take.
21st, yeah.
20,
for
20,
astronomical.
Yeah, astronomical summer, I guess. So many different starts this summer.
I know.
School summer.
So many
there's
dates you have to remember.
Meteorological summer, summer solstice. So,
Yeah. Lots and lots of dates
Lots
you
and
got to
lots of
remember
dates.
as a meteorologist. That's why we like the meteorological seasons.
Yes.
They're easy to
keeps
remember.
us in place.
Yeah.
You know, the first of the month and the last of the third month.
Much easier.
Reset.
Much
Much easier.
easier.
Much easier. 'Cause what? We start June 1st and go through August 31st. Then we get into fall. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Like
how it
trying
works.
to do math in my head as I do this. It's like numbers. Oh my goodness.
I think everybody's on summer break.
I think so too.
Yeah. And that's okay. We have Michelle that says she's tried to send us a picture in the text line. It would not take the picture, saying the moon was beautiful last night. And you can try sending that a couple other ways too. I think you can DM me, you can DM the station to get us the picture of that.
Yes, and you can also put it on the WQAD website. I think you can submit there as well.
That's right. Yep.
all sorts of options.
Sorts of options that you can submit that in there.
Yes.
Just refreshing this, just in case we're missing anybody. Nope. Looks like still. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
From Riley.
there we go.
Any risk for Thursday and Friday when it comes to severe weather? And a weather joke if we want it.
Please.
We always want a weather
We want the
joke.
weather joke.
Please get us a weather joke. I love weather jokes. We don't see anything popping up in terms of a severe risk for tomorrow and Friday because we don't have a lot of forcing. We're not talking about a strong storm system coming in. These are just your pop-up showers and thunderstorms.
Yes. I don't think anything crazy.
No. Next week could be different. We're kind of in wait-and-see mode for that.
Yes.
But yeah, we want to hear this joke.
I do want to hear this joke.
As long as it's, streaming appropriate.
Yes,
I know it's streaming, but the FCC rules still apply.
it's true.
We don't want to get into too much trouble.
No, we do not.
And we can get in trouble pretty easily around here. No, I'm kidding.
We're very good at it.
Oh, here it is. Here's the joke. Okay. I'm going to read it first just to make sure. Oh my gosh. That's. Should we read it?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think it's cute.
It is cute.
So why did the weather report go to school? Because it wanted to be a little more accurate. Still working on that degree in precipitation. That's cute.
That is cute.
What
I like
a
that.
cute. I love that so much.
I like that. That's
Aw.
good. Thank you.
That brightened my day.
I know.
I love that.
Smiling is the best.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Thank you for bringing that into our chat this morning. If anybody else has any questions, we're going to hang around for about 4 more minutes. That's forever in TV time.
I know.
But it seems like very little outside of TV time. But yeah, we'll definitely hang around for a few more minutes. I'm going to dig up that one explainer, because we were just talking about it a minute ago about the meteorological seasons.
Yes.
I'm going to see if I have that in here, if it's going to come up easy enough for me here. We'll find out in just a moment. It's probably not, because it's complicated to search things in our system.
It is.
Oh, there it is.
Boom.
I had a better version of this somewhere. It's buried in here. But yeah, there's the meteorological seasons we were talking about. And of course, we're in spring right now. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, we're in summer. It's
in summer.
astronomical spring.
Astronomical spring, meteorological summer.
Yes. See, I can't even get it straight. But yeah, these are the seasons that we follow as meteorologists. So summer started June 1st. It's going to go all the way through the end of July, and then we'll start fall in September. And we do that because it better aligns with the temperature patterns. We notice that temperatures really start going up, average temperatures in March for spring, and they continue to climb. And then we notice that fall as we get closer to September in the average temperature. So it's not only is it easier for us, well, it's supposed to be, apparently for me it's not, but it's supposed to be easier for meteorologists to follow, and it kind of follows more closely along with the average temperature. So
Yeah.
that's why we use that.
Yes.
And then we confuse people because we're like, did he just say it's summer? And they're looking at their calendar and it's only June 1st, and they're like, wait a minute,
It's not summer.
what happened?
Is it summer?
Is this the same thing as that? Is that daylight saving time thing? Are they trying to change this to? No, this is just something that meteorologists follow.
Yes.
There's no legislation right now that I'm aware of that's trying to change the first day
Make
of summer.
meteorological
Yeah.
summer the same as astronomical.
Though we know a congressman who's a meteorologist. Maybe we could get him to change the.
That's true.
the
Make it all in the first of the month. Make it easy for all of us. across the
Right? Yeah, then we'd really be in better shape there. But yeah, that's the meteorological season explainer for you.
board. Oh my goodness.
This is last call, folks. We're down to the 2-minute mark.
2
Last
minutes?
call.
This is when you pull the goaltender.
That's right. Get it. This is it. This is last call for those questions. Get them in. Not much to talk about in the tropics either. That's been.
I saw there was
kinda
like maybe
quiet.
a percentage development in 7 days, but it's in the Pacifics. It's just
Oh,
gonna go
okay.
back into the ocean.
Yeah, in that case, there's not much going on there. It's pretty
TV
quiet.
side, that way, yeah,
Yeah.
not gonna go a lot.
We have some cool names though on the list
Good,
this year.
It's a good naming list this year.
It is a really good naming list. There was one on there in particular, and let's see, do I have it? I think I updated it. I'm pretty sure I did. I remember typing in some of these names. I don't see it. All right, let me search.
Yep, search it.
Oh, the clock's on. 1 minute. Can you get it up within a minute here?
55.
Up, up, up. Oh gosh,
Oh.
he's giving me the countdown.
50, and there we go.
You know what? I don't think I updated it.
Oh no, I thought we did.
No, I
Oh.
didn't. Okay, never mind. Next time.
Next week.
Next week, we'll go over the names for the Atlantic hurricane season. There are some pretty cool ones. I think Xena was one of them.
Xena,
In the
yes.
X's?
What was the Xena, and then what was the X? Or was the X Xena?
I think it was the X.
X was Xena, and then there was a Z one too. That was pretty cool. I remember.
It is. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Van?
See, there's no Z.
There's no Z.
What about the Noah?
Okay, let's go here to Noah.
Go here, quick.
There's no Z.
What? I thought there was a Z.
It goes V and W.
Where's Xena?
Maybe that was Pacific.
That might have been Pacific.
It was Pacific.
Yes, Zelda was the Pacific one.
Yes, that's what we're thinking of. Oh my gosh. All right, they're pulling.
That's time. They're cutting us off.
They're pulling the shepherd circle. They're like, you know what? You guys are done. We'll see you next week. You guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and in the rest of the week as well. I'll see you in the 11. Take care.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.